Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Serious Cinema from Serious Men. I'm your host Gabe Bradham, and I am joined today by the mayor of movies, the father of film, the consigliere of cinema. And he's also my best friend and my co-host. It's Tucker Sennett. And Tucker, we've got a lot to talk about today. But the very first thing we have to do is tell people where if they're enjoying this content, where should they go to check out our thoughts, what they should watch this week, and other little tidbits.
They should go to our various social platforms and release platforms. So if you're listening on Spotify here, you know where to find us already. If you want to see clips and shorter things from the episode and fun polls and posts that are my amazing co-host here has been working incredibly hard on,
God bless you, man.
go to Instagram, hit a follow on at Scum Podcast Official. If you want to see our reviews for our various films that we see on Letterboxd or lists that we make for each episode, etc., hit our Letterboxd at ScumPod. And if you want to watch the episodes, something new and different that we've been trying out over the last month or so, that's kind of a fun, different way to consume this content. Hit up the YouTube, the channel, Serious Cinema for Unserious Men podcast.
Absolutely.
Like
Oh,
like and subscribe.
and smash that bell to stay notified. And whatever else kids are saying. One day we're gonna get on TikTok. We'll get on everything else. Tucker, can you believe that we are very near to 150 episodes? In fact, the last episode of December will be like episode 151 or something.
It's pretty incredible.
Season three
We
wrapping
got on
up.
a serious roll like I don't know, last fall kind of we put out some serious content last
We
fall and
have.
I that kind of pushed us into another stratosphere in terms of volume of content.
When we got those Barbenheimer numbers back, we said this is sustainable growth, and it wasn't really, but it's okay. Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, hi. Tucker, this is a question that I'm always curious about. Do you think our voices match our faces?
I think yes and no.
Okay,
I
let's unpack that.
yeah, I think you know, I sometimes I sound a little better than I sound right now. I'm a little congested coming off a
Mhm.
little bit of man cold here.
But you're still so sexy.
Thanks, Gabe. Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah.
And I think Gabe often, when he does Al Pacino, I picture a gruff Italian man, not
Yeah.
not not the monster of the Midwest that is Gabriel Bradham, just a lean, mean fighting
Mhm.
machine that
Yeah, some would say only mean and fighting machine apply of everything you just said.
I was
I'm working on the winter weight, okay? I don't want
yeah.
to be cold. I'm snuggly.
Gabe, if you have not met Gabe in person, and you don't believe it when Gabe says he's built like a bear. He
Yeah.
he, he is built like a brown bear.
Yeah.
Not not
Yeah.
not not a grizzly where he's like Vincent D'Onofrio in The
The
Magnificent,
Magnificent Seven. As
but
much as I would like to be.
like an intimidating brown bear.
Mhm.
You don't want to mess with Gabe in his Nashville Predators beanie when he's fresh off of a shootout loss for the Preds.
Yeah. Hey, listen. We play the Blackhawks tonight, and I said I'm not losing to no damn Chicago team.
No, you
So
can't
I
have that.
I locked on the cap just to make sure. I think
Gabe,
you
you've
yes.
explained this to me before, and I'm sorry to segue here, but what is the reason that Milwaukee can't have a NHL team?
Well, let me tell you, those bastards in Chicago, when they formed the original six agreement with the NHL, those dumbasses from Illinois, those tyrants from Peoria, they said, well, listen here. We don't want any competition, so there can't be an NHL team within 100 miles of us. Milwaukee is 92 miles from Chicago, so we can't have a team fucking 8 miles. We break the rule by 8 miles. And here's the thing, there's cities that are 100 miles from Chicago, but no one wants the Wauwatosa Wombats. okay? Or the Sheboygan Slaughterhouse. It's not going to
Do you
happen.
think, do you think it was a targeted move against the city of Milwaukee by the Chicagoans?
I think it was absolutely a terroristic attack. They've been perpetrating crimes on us. For example, I don't know, they like let Michael Jordan open a steakhouse here that immediately went into bankruptcy because of his gambling addiction. And now it's a strip club, Tucker. And my little sister, we were driving and we went past it, and she said, "What is that place?" And Tucker, there's pink lights, coming out of the windows and strobing, and you can see shadows. And I had to be like, "That's a strip club." And she's like, "How can you tell?" And I was like, "Well, we're not unpacking all of that and your
Well,
brother's
Gabe,
experiences." I
maybe
was just
maybe maybe one of us will find our wife in there
Yeah, it's
based on
it's it's possible. I'm not looking for a wife right now. I'm not really looking for
neither
anything right
neither
now.
was the Russian guy in Anora.
That's true. Neither was he. But I instead of being like, well, let me tell you what happened when I was 18, I'm not doing that. I was like, well, Melody, anytime pink light is coming out of a window and it's strobing, that's a strip club. Just as a general rule.
Yeah.
Pretty,
I
you
feel, I
know,
feel like there can be pink light and it can be not a strip club, but
okay, sure. If it's
red
ever pink
red
light,
light,
red
red
light.
light.
If you walk into a district and there's red lights and you start hearing Roxanne, just know you're gonna catch some kind of disease, and that's okay. We're not
Yeah.
judging. Tucker, the reason we're talking about this is because Anora is a movie all about sex work, and it's an incredible movie. And we're gonna unpack it. We're gonna talk about Venom: The Last Dance. You might get a last dance of some kind if you go to one of those districts. We're gonna talk about We Live in Time, which is a beautiful, sexy, romantic movie. That's also I cried my entire body out. And we're gonna talk about Conclave. And we're not gonna make any sex jokes in the Catholic Church because the sponsors aren't crazy about that. But first, Tucker, let's just unpack some movie news. Tom Holland. Some are saying he's a stay-at-home boyfriend who doesn't do anything except be Spider-Man, while
Right.
Zendaya is like kind of running the movie world. Now that's me. I'm the one who's saying that. Tucker isn't saying it. I don't
Yeah.
drink beer, so like it'd be nice if we could get a non-alcoholic beer sponsorship. And Tom just started one, and I just ruined our opportunity to get a sponsorship. That and the fact that Tucker's a raging alcoholic.
I
No,
can't
share
get
your thoughts. Go ahead.
I can't get over the fact that I'm going backwards here that we decided to combine a movie about marrying an escort
Uh-huh.
with the movie about electing the new pope.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything about Conclave, but all I'm going to say is there's some stuff touched on that makes these movies thematically linked. Okay? I'm just saying it would be like that. It's not that crazy of a pairing. It's not like we're pairing a movie about a guy with a giant tongue and a movie about sex work. Wait, no, no, we did that too. We combined Venom and Anora, and Venom would be very popular in the world of Anora and also maybe in the world of Conclave, but I don't want to unpack that. But Tom Holland is he definitely changed agents. I think he was hearing all the shit people were saying about how he's a one tool player. Okay, he's a position actor. Okay, he was Spider-Man and that was good, but he can't do anything else. And he's in the new Christopher Nolan movie with Matt Damon, and it looks like it's a movie about helicopter cops. I hope the movie is called Helicopters. That's my vision. Or Crime
Is,
Chopper. And
is
Al
this
Pacino's the
Nolan?
narrator.
Is Nolan doing his like his Michael Bay tribute movie?
I think what I'm looking for is ambulance mixed with heat. You know the part in Heat where Pacino's just like, "Give me a helicopter, take me to the highway," and then he
What if it's
commandeers a car.
what if it's the OJ police chase from the perspective of the helicopter pilots following them around?
Sure, yeah, I mean that'll be interesting. Tucker, whose side did you take in the whole OJ thing? Like, right or wrong, who were you with? If the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. I don't know. What do you think?
If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit is a compelling argument. I
Hmm.
will give Johnny Cochran some credit there. The whole if I were to do it book,
Yeah, yeah, that wasn't good.
that doesn't really make me super confident in OJ's innocence, but I'm not gonna jump all over a guy who's deceased. I'm not gonna say if he's in heaven or hell
Yeah,
because
well, I'll do it. I'm very private on my Twitter. It's not something I give out. Tucker's like literally one of the 3 people who I allow to follow me. It's where I post my innermost thoughts, including my gem tweet. Need me some deviled eggs. Maybe the greatest thing I've ever tweeted. I have since deleted the tweet because I don't want anyone to find it. But I remember when OJ died, people were like, "Rip Juice. I know he's looking down on us." And I said, down? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Homie, I think you're thinking he is looking up at us as he is quite toasty. It's getting hot for the juice. This is also getting hot for me. I'm definitely gonna get us canceled. What movie isn't being canceled, but isn't being shown fucking anywhere? Clint Eastwood's Juror Number Two. The trailer for this came out a couple weeks ago. I personally think it looks pretty good. I'm a fan of Big Clint. I was there for Cry Macho. I watched the cockfighting. I'm talking about roosters fighting each other, nothing else, before anyone clips this audio and makes a whole thing. Well, unfortunately, Juror Number Two is being held to less than 50 screens. They will not be releasing box office numbers, and it will not be submitted for any Academy Awards. Tucker, is this a case of Juror Number Two is a horrendous movie, even though the trailer didn't look like it? Or did Clint Eastwood maybe piss some people off at Warner Brothers? What's your speculation there?
I think it could honestly be a combination of he pissed some people off at Warner Brothers and also like his last probably 3 movies did not do significantly well
Mm-hmm.
financially. So it might be Warner kind of covering their ass preemptively in case it is a disaster of a flick. Um, and I could see, if it gets some good buzz, um, and yeah, I could see it getting good buzz and then getting a wider release after that. Kind of what I expect with some of these Oscar movies. Like I think based off of the early screenings of The Brutalist, I have a feeling that movie's gonna end up
Mm-hmm.
being more distributed than initially thought. I will say, I've been seeing a lot of chatter about the A24 release strategy, and I'm gonna make my stance on this issue. I absolutely agree with the fact that they're fucking horrible.
They are.
Like
They Sing
like
Sing was in
why
virtually no theaters.
why do they buy and why do they buy these movies that they know are gonna be good and then just do nothing with them? Like
Yeah.
I don't get the whole point of that if you're gonna do that. Whereas like Neon, I feel like when they see something, they're like, all right, let's go grab it and we'll send it to the award shows. Oh, this kicks ass. All right, we're gonna roll this out nice and quickly. Like Anora, it's not playing a lot of places in Phoenix, but there's like 3 theaters it's playing at, and I think that's all you need. And that I expect that move. I mean, I was at a 12:55 showing of it today, and I mean, the theater was probably like 70% full or 70% empty, I mean, which for a movie like that, I mean, there's probably some places where you're gonna have 2 people in the entire theater.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
the
was the
fact that
experience at the Oriental in downtown Milwaukee.
yeah, I mean the fact that you're at least committing to getting the movie out there, I think helps both the movie and your studio because it's like, all right, the studio actually cares about the content. That was
Yeah.
my soapbox. I'm
And
done.
some of it doesn't feel like A24 does, frankly. And
No, no,
it's weird. And
I feel like they have really weird priorities. Like
I think
if they have
I
a really
think a
artsy movie with famous people in it, they're gonna prioritize that over the artsy movie that might be better,
mhm.
but doesn't have as many famous people, you
I
know?
also think what A24 does, and this is nice for me, but it sucks for you, Tucker, and people like you. A24 prioritizes horror above everything.
Yes,
And
that is true.
A24's horror gets the November Heretic spot. And I'm very excited for Heretic. I am a deeply religious person, and I like that it's exploring that, and I like Hugh Grant, and I like Blueberry Pie. All things that Heretic seems to be touching on. But why is Sing Sing? Why did it not get the November Heretic slot? Why did it come out in in April, then May, then June, then July, every
Yeah.
time getting smaller.
I
That's like
also
the opposite of a competent rollout. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
I really did think Civil War would kind of allow them to take some more risks.
We did an entire episode discussing how they should.
Yeah. And I feel like their reaction has been, we're going to be more risk averse.
And just I don't know. I find it disappointing, and I agree with you. Hopefully A24 just decides making money. A24 always shown because their priority wasn't making money, it was telling the best stories. And I think one of the things that happened with Civil War making as much money as it did is now they're like, well, now it's time to make our fucking money, which I'm all down for because, people need money, people need food, people need homes and jobs, and I totally get that. But at what point are you instead alienating your core audience and winning entering a war that you have no chance of winning? A24 will never have the financial chest that Disney and Universal and Comcast and everything like that. So I don't know what's happening. A24 has been a little frustrating. Tucker, you and I, in times like these, when we're frustrated at A24 and I've seen Venom: The Last Dance, I don't know about you, sometimes I just want to get on a ship and sail away and act like Russell Crowe and Master and Commander. Tucker, a Master and Commander prequel is in production, searching for a director. What I want to know is, are you willing to direct this film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
yes, I will. The key for this is you got to have somebody as charismatic as Russell Crowe, and
yeah.
there's 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 two casting decisions that will make or break the entire movie. You gotta have somebody that's as charismatic as Russell Crowe, and you gotta have the Paul Bettany replacement. Just
Mhm.
just you have to nail that because if you don't have the chemistry of those two from the original movie, it won't work. Because that relationship is just the heart of that movie.
So, not to be craven brained, is it Aaron Taylor Johnson? Should he play the Russell Crowe character?
No,
No, you don't think?
no,
He's got the
see
charisma.
it.
I don't.
I'd rather plus I want him to focus on being Bond personally.
Yeah, and focus on being Craven the Hunter. Then we're gonna get Craven 2, Born to Be Wild, Craven 3, Three's a Craven. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Um,
Craven
yeah,
4, Cravilian, uh, Cravilian Cravens.
Craven the Quader. I don't know. We'll get something. We don't need any more Craven movies. Uh, I am interested to see who they'll cast. I also don't know if this will ever happen, right? Because every director might go, "This is too audacious. This is too much of a swing," or
It's also
maybe
it's
someone will
also a
decide to make us
brutal
happy.
it's a brutal shoot because if you're gonna do it justice, you have to shoot it at
Yeah,
sea,
yeah. I
which
will
which
say, if
sucks.
Michael Bay wants to direct it,
No,
I'm cool with that. I'm
no,
cool with Michael
no,
Bay's Master and Commander.
absolutely not.
This is
The,
a cashmere frock.
well, that and Michael Bay will invent new forms of Napoleonic era weaponry that did not exist, and a dude will like have a fucking rocket launcher
It's
on
a
a
Gatling cannon.
yeah,
How is
yeah.
that even a thing? But we'd both be
Or,
losing our
or
minds.
like
That's the
the
thing.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Davy Jones' ship has the
Yep,
three
yep.
strong cannons. Like
Which
that's
would 100% blow up a cannon. I don't want to go
yes.
like science on you people.
No, it would
Paul
be
Mescal, I think, would also do a fantastic job. And that's a bit, I know that's Gladiator 2 brain. We'll have to see. Tucker, my last thing for you. You love Bradley Cooper, and I love Bradley Cooper, but
dude.
I don't think anyone loves the Coopster as much as the Tuckster. You guys have that STER Bond, a Bondster, one might say. His next project has been announced, his co-star has been announced, and it's shooting in February.
Is he
We
directing it?
don't, he is directing it. We have
Oh,
no plot details,
okay.
but it's called Is This Thing On? Directed by Bradley Cooper, co-star Will Arnett.
Oh, could comedy be back?
Comedy may in fact be back. Movies may actually be back, Tucker. If that comes out in 26 and we get Michael Mann's Heat 2, if we get Christopher Nolan, hella coppers, Bradley Cooper, and probably not a Quentin Tarantino movie, but possibly a Tarantino movie, and Marty Scorsese makes Frank Sinatra.
Mhm.
Are we
Wait,
just
what's
back in
coming
the
up first?
90s?
Is Sinatra coming up first, or is Jesus coming up first?
Jesus has unfortunately been delayed because they
Oh,
are struggling with the source material. Not like we've had the source material for 2024 years, and people have been like, "Oh, this Jesus guy." I don't know. Maybe we've already done. I've got some thoughts about him that I'd be willing to share. Marty, call me. I've got a close personal
what's
relationship
the
with him.
source material? What's the source material? The fucking Bible?
It's
Is Marty having an existential crisis about his
well,
relationship with God?
well, so it's about the book of Matthew, and the book of Matthew is the book of the Bible that was explicitly written to the Jews. It is about Christ as a Jew. And I think maybe Marty, Italian Gentile is feeling bad and
Yeah.
he's going, "Give me the book of Luke. I should have taken Luke or Mark." Definitely not John. John is for bitch boys. But like Matthew's the heavy shit.
I
So
think
I think he's
also I was listening to Adam Sandler talk about this on a podcast recently. I can't remember what it was. It might have been like the Adam Friedland show or one of those types, but um he said like, yeah, we've been in the writers' room working on a sequel for the Zohan 3 times in the last since it came out. And the most recent time we really thought it was gonna happen, and then everything that's happened in Israel and Palestine over the last
yeah,
year started
yeah.
happening, and that sort of complicated it,
Hmm.
just a smidge. So like I think making movies about that sort of thing right now, and I obviously the Zohan is very different, but like if you're making a movie about Jesus as a Jew,
Hmm.
it could get testy right now. I
Yes.
just culturally with the climate, and I'm here for it. I think it's a very interesting topic to explore, but I just think from a studio standpoint and a PR standpoint, that is a risk you have
It
to really
is.
go all out on if you're gonna do it.
And Tucker, that was actually a perfect segue. And you and I have fucking brain meld. We got a trailer recently for the film September 5, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, Tucker, do you want to explain what happened at the Munich Olympics? You're kind of our
Yeah,
history buff.
I
And
honestly, I know a little bit about it. I don't know as much as I should. But basically, what happened was the at the Munich Olympics in the 1970s. I think it
mhm.
was like 72 or something.
And I can
Um,
tell you the day, September 5th.
oh, good call. Uh, some terrorists that were I believe they were Palestinian. It was like the
Yes.
precursor to Hamas.
Yes.
Um, they attacked the Olympic Village,
Mhm.
specifically the Israeli Olympic team, and they killed a couple of them out of the gate, and then they took a bunch of hostages.
Yes.
Uh, were There was a rescue attempt, and I think they all ended up dying. And then
Yes.
there was it ended up being a plane hijacking happened. It was a crazy whole thing, but basically like there was this hostage crisis going on during the Olympics, which was it was wild. But not I think this movie's gonna be very good. I think this is that's a great segue, because I do think the reactions to this movie are going to be really interesting,
Mhm.
just from a as an observer, because I mean, like, I don't know how what the general temperature is right now, just in terms of that subject matter. So I'll be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm bringing it up is because Tucker and I, in discussing Anora, We Live in Time, and Conclave, not as much Venom. If Venom gets nominated for Best Picture, I think I'll shoot myself in the head. Um, even though there was some fun times. Venom gambling addiction was something that really should be studied, in its impact on the psyche of young men. But we are going to try and list the 10 films we think are going to be nominated for Best Picture. And I want to start with September 5, Tucker. Currently, because as I mentioned, gambling addiction is running rampant, it has 30 to 1 odds to be nominated for Best Picture.
Okay.
After that trailer, are you feeling like that might be a nomination? Or do you want to do this a different way? We could say what we think are locks and then start trying to fill in the empty spots.
I think we should go locks and
Okay.
then empty spots. So I
Well,
think locks right now. I think Dune Part 2 is a lock.
I would say Anora is a lock, not
I
to
would say
spoil
Nora
a
is
conversation we're about to
a
have.
lock, yes. I would say Conclave
Yep.
is if not a lock, very close to being one.
I think Amelia Perez, after what we've heard about it,
Okay, what are we at? 5?
we are at currently I have 3. I have Anora, Dune Part 2, and Conclave.
Okay, Amelia Perez 4.
That is a Jacques Audiard adaptation of an opera for Netflix. People are
Um,
saying it's right up the Academy's alley. The Brutalist. Do we think The Brutalist is a lock
I
based on
do.
Okay,
I
so
do.
that's 5.
Um,
Gladiator 2. Is that Lockiator 2? Is it
I'm
is
not.
it like the Barbie where it's the big box office movie? Because remember, for anyone who doesn't know, the best pictures are nominated by the producers. Producers, do they care most about money? Some say yes.
I think yes. I think Gladiator 2 will be nominated.
Okay, so that is currently 6 of them. Tucker, so, so
Complete Unknown.
yeah, you think that'll be nominated?
I do. I
Okay,
do.
maybe that's our one biopic.
Yeah.
Okay, that is 7. What do you think of The Piano Lesson, Tucker?
So
Directed by Malcolm Washington.
I've heard some weird noise about that one.
Okay,
I've heard it's not exactly what it was. I've heard it is what it was hyped up to be, but it's just it. I've heard it falls a little flatter than people would have liked.
okay,
Um, so I'm gonna not commit to that one.
okay. I'm gonna ask you something. You tell me if you think that's a lock or if you want to discuss it. Sing
Okay.
Sing. We thought it was gonna win Best Picture and Best Actor,
I still haven't
and
seen it, and
yeah,
I think honestly that's a I think just the lack of noise, but that might be one that suffered from coming out too early.
yeah, I agree. Okay, so Blitz. This is the newest film.
I think that one will for sure get
Okay,
nominated.
my
Just
only
because
fear is it's an Apple TV film.
yeah, they
I
we
mean, but
bucked
Killers of the Flower Moon, so that's the thing. Like
we
it.
bucked that with Killers of the Flower Moon, I think.
Okay, and so for anyone who doesn't know, Blitz is a World War
And
One
I think
film.
if a Netflix movie is getting nominated, then
Sure, true. Yeah, absolutely.
it's World War II.
Okay.
It's about the German air raids over London.
Yes, the beginning of Chronicles of Narnia #1.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So Ramel Ross's The Nickel Boys. This is a movie that people have been talking about. I want to say no to this one, and here's why. The entire movie is shot first person. So it is like
No,
you are looking through the
uh,
eyes of the character.
no,
And
not gonna
I
happen.
think the old people in the Academy Awards aren't going to jive with it because what I'm hearing is you're not just one character. You are looking as if you're one character, but
Not
then
gonna
it's like
happen.
you're looking as the other character. And
Not gonna happen.
I don't think that works. All right, so
No,
Tucker, September 5. We have let's see, we have 8 locks here.
I think September 5 is close.
Okay. So why don't I give you 4 to choose from? You can give me 2 out of it.
Okay. Oh, here's one. And don't laugh because it's not unprecedented. Inside Out 2.
Yeah, it could happen. I don't know. I think Inside Out 2, the issue is it's going to be also put in Best Animated, and
Okay.
now Best Animated looks really weird because Wild Robot did really well. Transformers won by word of mouth, it stopped at 60 million, then the word of mouth hit, and now it's at 120 million.
Okay.
So I don't know. I let's write Inside Out down as a maybe. Because
Okay.
and let me tell you my four. And if you don't feel confident or more confident in any of the four, then we can put it Inside Out too.
Okay.
A Real Pain, Jesse Eisenberg, Kieran
Oh,
Culkin,
I do.
exploration of the Holocaust.
Yeah, I do think that's, even though we just talked about kind of the, I think that movie's gonna be really fucking good.
I mean, last year when we were dealing with all of this stuff, films about Jewish oppression
Yeah.
were,
Yeah.
whether or not I liked the film and thought it was any good is a completely different story.
Yeah.
But they were out there.
I think
Saturday
that
Night and Wicked, Tucker. Do you feel confident about either of those? We have one more spot. Um,
I think Wicked, I just I can't commit to Wicked yet. Just because the trailers do look a little goofy to me. And I want to say it's gonna be good, but I can't commit to that one.
okay. Saturday Night?
Yeah, I don't. Saturday Night is one I could see getting nominated for Best Director, but not Best Picture. You know what I mean?
Okay. So do you feel more confident about Inside Out 2 than you do about Saturday Night or Wicked?
I think I feel more confident about Wicked.
Wicked is what I would put at 10.
Okay, let's go Wicked then,
But I'm also biased because I've got Wicked stock, obviously with our fantasy movies draft, um,
which is over.
which it is over. And I kept saying, believe in Gabe, believe in Big Papa,
You're right. You're right. I
and
I mean the just the Dune hype right out of the gate was crazy. And well, okay, actually, we need to discuss this before we've gotten sidetracked a lot in this episode, but speaking of Dune and the Academy Awards, what the fuck are they doing? Not disqualifying Hans Zimmer.
oh, that was the most bullshit thing, especially. And I love John Williams, but he
Oh,
got
yeah,
nominated for
no, I
Dial of Destiny, and what's up with that? Like, and I love Dial of Destiny. I had a lot of fun at that movie.
and don't get me wrong, like yes, they use a lot of the motifs from the first movie, but it's a very, I mean, if you listen to the music from the two movies, it's very different music in the second one.
And it's also that's how you make a score. You make a
Yes.
thematic motif and you return to it. Concerning
Yes.
hobbits, plays at the end of Return of the King to show us that we've gone back to the peace and safety of the Shire. The mission is done. They may rest.
And I guess
Samwise.
the whole like the 90% thing, or maybe it's 80%. There's like a threshold of similarity that they use. Whoever the guy that has to sit and go through the sheet music to determine the similarity, what what a loser. Like how can you make that call?
It's just it's just
That really rubbed me the wrong way. All right.
it left a poor taste in my mouth. But
Let's
what
let's let's begin here.
yeah, so really quick to recap the 10 that we listed, just so people can see kind of where our head is at. We have Anora, Dune Part 2, Conclave, Amelia Perez, The Brutalist, Gladiator Part 2, A Complete Unknown, Blitz, A Real Pain, and Wicked as our suspected Best Picture nominees. I think that's a pretty good list, Tucker. I think you and I are pretty good at predicting these things, and we'll have to see what actually comes true. Tucker, let's start with Venom: The Last Dance. You haven't seen it. What is your relationship to the Venom movies? Do they get you hype at all?
Nope. I watched the first one on an airplane and I was like, oh, that was kind of funny, but you know, not great.
Yeah,
I think I watched half of the second one on an airplane and woke up when it was pretty much over. Uh, and the
yeah.
Dodgers have taken a one-run lead in the World Series.
Sorry, buddy. Hey, don't worry. A lot of game left to play, a lot of baseball left to happen. But
But
I know you're frustrated.
I thought there were two outs.
Okay. Venom: The Last Dance.
I don't really feel strongly about the Venom franchise,
Sure.
to be honest.
I think the issue with the Venom franchise is its fundamental misunderstanding of Venom as a character. Venom is this cannibalistic, homicidal parasite that latches on to bad people and gives them the strength to do the heinous actions that they like, as long as the Venom symbiote gets what it wants, which is food, particularly the food it's craved since it was removed from his body, Peter Parker. All it wants to do is eat Spider-Man. It is a being with a singular goal that is extremely strong and extremely powerful. And then they essentially have made it into an anti-hero buddy cop comedy where Tom Hardy is playing both roles. And I think there's potential there. I think it's never lived up to it because they've never committed one way or the other. I think Venom: The Last Dance is a pretty run-of-the-mill 5 out of 10 superhero movie. It is nowhere near as bad as Madam Web. It's nowhere near as bad as The Flash, for example. It's nowhere close to my top 10 worst movies of the year. I had a couple chuckles. I drank a mug root beer. I had some nachos, and they were pretty solid nachos. I was happy. I saw it in 3D. The Venom movies must be seen in 3D. It is the best way to watch them. They're very goopy movies. Tucker and I, this is the year of the goop. Last year was the year of the bomb. This year is the year of the goop. And the goop looked good in 3D. I will 100% give it credit. In fact, I actually wanted to see the ending credits because the end credits were animals being venomized. So there was a venom gator and a venophant, which is like a venom elephant, and a venom bald eagle. And I stood up and said, God bless America, and that was pretty cool. And it was set to a Rage Against the Machine song. So I was down. But this movie struggles just with its general lack of a plot and lack of strong performances from anyone but Tom Hardy. It's obvious Tom Hardy cares about this character. I think the amount of criticism he's gotten for continuing with this role, especially because Tom Hardy's career has kind of stalled out post Revenant. I mean, Tucker, since the Revenant in 2015, besides Venom, what is Tom Hardy's big memorable roles? I liked the
Um,
bike riders, but that didn't make any noise.
yeah, not a lot. It's kind of been a while. I'll give you that. I gotta give it a look here, but um, yeah, I mean, he kind of went all in on the Venom thing, and I would say Dunkirk
Sure, yeah, you're right. Dunkirk was his last big thing.
was yeah, I would say that was a win for him, but yeah, he kind of, I mean, 2020 he did Capone.
Yep, that movie sucked. It was just about Tom Hardy having syphilis. And look, I don't want to watch that.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I mean, I I I think I think he's definitely searching for that next big thing.
yeah, and I think maybe he thought that Venom was going to get bigger and be in the MCU, or maybe he thought that James Bond, it was always rumored Tom Hardy Bond. After Spectre not turning out great, Tom Hardy Bond, and it never happened, and that's okay because I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's a better fit for it. But essentially, Venom: The Last Dance is Andy Serkis plays Null. Null is the god of symbiotes. If you're a fan of comics, you know him from the King in Black storyline, and Andy Serkis is totally fine. He's in the movie for about 79 seconds. He is also sitting in one chair the entire time. Essentially, because of some plot loopholes, Venom and Eddie Brock have a living key inside of them, and they can't use their powers, or it'll trigger the aliens that are tracking them down to find the living key. So not only do you barely get Venom in this movie, you don't really get the main villain. No, you get these aliens that are pretty cool. The aliens eat people, and then their blood and viscera flies out the back of the alien's head. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool for a superhero movie. Like, I'll give it that.
I
That
like
was
that.
pretty gnarly.
I like when you say viscera, Gabe.
Yeah, hey, well, I don't want to say chunks, but yeah, they're chunked. And my cat is meowing because some are saying that she is the venom of my life, this parasite who won't stop trying to get food from me. And you've got Chiwetel Ejiofor as a nameless army general, and Juno Temple from Ted Lasso, and it is the worst part of this whole movie. Her English accent is god awful. Her arm was paralyzed because she was holding
Her
hands with her
her English
brother.
accent?
American accent, pardon me.
Okay.
Her American accent, which kind of sounded like an English accent. She lost the usage of her arm because she was holding her brother's hand in a lightning storm, and he was
Hmm,
hit by a bolt of lightning, and it ran through her, killing him and paralyzing her arm.
that's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, the movie ends, and spoiler for Venom: The Last Dance, the movie ends with Venom dying. He covers himself in the venom in acid, and at the end, he's like, "Don't forget me, Eddie, and I will never forget you. I am Venom!" And then he gets like acided. And but then you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, Venom's not dead. You get a montage of their memories with like genuinely 70% of the montage scenes are actually just from Venom 3. And you're like, I just watched that. But it's the soundtrack to the movie is the best part. You're getting Space Oddity by David Bowie, even though it's Venom singing it, so this is ground control to Major Tom. Like you're just like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. But the Venom horse scene that Tucker and I talked about in the trailer is soundtrack to Don't Stop Me Now, which is like a great song that we all love. But then the end, that emotional montage is Memories by Maroon 5, which Tucker and I talked about before we recorded, is just a kind of a cringy song, but also, I don't know. I was just like, what is happening here? So it just felt kind of strange. The end credit scene, you get maybe 10 more seconds of Andy Serkis as Null. After, like, you never see him in the movie, you actually get to see his face for the first time. He's a full CGI character, which Andy Serkis has done well. And he just stares into the camera and gives a monologue about how the planets will burn, everyone will die, and the King in Black will return. And maybe that means Spider-Man 4 is going to be a Venom crossover. And then after the longest credits I've ever seen in my entire life, the credits for Venom 3, like genuinely, my sister had to pee and I was scared she was going to piss herself in that theater. I was like, no, 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 we're watching the credits. And I was like, she's going to fucking leave a snail trail. Um, you see that the Venom symbiote has latched itself onto a little smidgen of Venom has latched itself onto a cockroach.
Hmm.
You can't, after they foreshadow, like, nothing can kill a cockroach, not even the apocalypse. Venom, Last Dance. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It was a fine Thursday. And like I said, not the worst movie of the year, but it certainly wasn't good. It's not as bad as it's the second best Venom movie. I'll say that. It's better than Venom Let There Be Carnage, where Woody Harrelson wears the worst wig of all mankind. And this movie does have, Venom plays the slot machine and he screams, I can feel all my organs. I've never been this happy. Which the first time you gamble, yeah, that is how it feels. I totally get it. And then Venom like dances to Dancing Queen, and he's like doing some pelvic gyrating and some hip thrusts. And I was like, get down, Venom. And Tom Hardy's going, when did you practice this? And it's like decently funny, I won't lie. And I didn't need Venom pelvic thrusting at me in 3D, but I didn't say no to it. Dancing Queen, sure. Tucker, the other one to talk about is We Live in Time, directed by John Crowley. This movie is beautiful. I don't want to spoil it for you, Tucker, because this is one that you're going to love. I think it's going to move you. I don't think it'll. I think you will maybe like it a little bit less than I do, because this movie is non-chronological, and I think that is going to stick in your craw a little bit because
Okay.
it doesn't earn being non-chronological,
Okay.
but the movie shines because of Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. They have a tremendous amount of chemistry, and it's a beautiful love story. And even if we don't get anything else, we have got Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh promoting this movie together, being charming. And Andrew Garfield is on Sesame Street working through his mom's death, and he's going on chicken shop dates. And he's like, "Yeah, I'd do another Spider-Man if they asked me to." And I cried like every drop of liquid in my body watching We Live in Time. Tucker, is something happening in the World Series?
It's really frustrating. We're getting just railed by Jack fucking Flaherty right now.
Yeah.
Continue.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I would say We Live in Time can be slightly frustrating with its usage of that non-chronological storytelling, and I think that's the biggest weakness, because everything tends to feel kind of lost, and moments don't feel earned, and it kind of undercuts the emotional weight that it's building. But overall, I think it is a triumph. I don't think it's going to be nominated for any awards, but I will say Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh might be looking at some scumbag awards, and Tucker, I know we are excited for the scumbag awards because after I saw Glenn Powell and Hitman, I was like, I don't know how anyone else could win the scumbag award for best actor. Then I'm seeing some things and I'm like, hmm, there is some competition. And like Timmy Chalamet, I don't know. Is Glenn Powell and Hitman better than Chalamet and Dune? Oh, joy for Tucker. We said Dune Part 2, and the gods heard Tucker. And his shirt is off. For the audio listeners, oh, his nipples are out. Whoa, Tucker, put those away. I'm just kidding. His shirt remained on. Despite the Venmo request I sent him, his shirt remained on. Tucker, let's talk about Anora. Speaking of shirts not being on.
Sorry, Giancarlo Stanton just hit a home run.
Yeah, I love him. Tucker. He is the MVP of this Yankee season. I'm sorry, like
He's big. He's big. If you are G Money, he is Big G.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Tucker, is he not the MVP of this Yankee season?
Postseason, definitely not this season.
Well, yeah, that would be Juan Soto. Who, hey,
That
all I'm
would
saying is,
that would actually be Aaron Judge who hit 58.
I don't know. I don't know. All I'm saying is Boras, however we're saying it, and Cashman were talking before the game. Talking, there might be some juice there. Or maybe
I,
they're
I
going,
would,
look, Juan's going to the Milwaukee Brewers. Get used to it.
I would like that.
It could happen. Let's talk about Honora though.
Yes, let's talk about Anora. Whew, I feel like a 1,000 pound weight has been lifted off my chest after
And
that.
I wasn't even on your back to begin with.
That's
Oh,
funny.
that's a joke because I'm fat. Oh no,
Um,
saying let's talk about Honora is essentially going, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and Mikey Madison. And because
I
this movie
that would
it goes there.
that would be cool. Unfortunately, probably not in the cards. Wow. I mean, like it, I know this is kind of a term that's overused, but in terms of movies being an emotional roller coaster, this
Mhm.
is this is
Yeah.
this movie is an emotional roller coaster. We got Mikey Madison who plays a high-end stripper and escort. Um, I don't even know how to say the Russian guy's name, so I'll just refer his first name is Mark, and it's along the lines of it says it's anglicized to Edelstein. Um, so we'll roll with that for now. But he's like Bizarro World Timothy Chalamet.
Yes, that is what he is. The
Big,
entire movie, you're going, I wonder if Timmy was offered this role.
yeah, no, for sure. Those are kind of our leads, but I mean the people who kill this movie are the supporting characters are
Hmm.
fucking awesome. We got a Orthodox Armenian priest named Toros, who's sort of the manager of the young man, and then his goons. This is a great movie if you like goons,
Oh, this
because
is a great Goon movie. I
great.
mean,
I mean,
in several ways, in just
in
in many ways.
yes, in many ways, but yeah, I mean the basic plot. She's not a prostitute, but she takes advantage of this young son of a Russian oligarch who's living in New York, and like it's a very materialistic relationship, which is
Hmm.
which is interesting, but you can tell there's a little bit more there, and you can tell she's like trying to I, she, they there's something there, and you're like, oh, this is really touching. And then I guess we're sort of spoiling the movie, but so spoiler warning if you don't want to know,
You
but
know where this movie is going the entire
this
time.
yeah, you do. And it takes a very hard, like, it goes from okay, this is like a really interesting romance movie that I would have never expected to. I'm reliving Uncut Gems again.
Yep, yep. Yes, you are.
Because, but where it's different is it's it's so fucking like the most stressful situation imaginable is I haven't laughed that hard in a movie theater in a really long time. Like I
Hmm.
laughed way more in this movie than I did Saturday night.
Sure, Saturday night's supposed to make you feel anxious though, so I think I don't.
Yes. Yeah, no, I know, but it's a movie about Saturday Night Live, which is supposed to be funny.
Some are
And
saying that might be appropriate to modern day Saturday Night Live Tucker. Some are saying Tucker is summarizing what's wrong with the show in its 50th season.
true, true. Anyways, yeah, I mean, this movie takes some huge swings and they work. I mean,
Yeah.
it, it- it's also a movie, there's a lot of sex in this movie, but it never feels really forced. Like it it articulates the relationship that these two people have, and it's sort of it's kind of her way of keeping control in the relationship.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm not well versed enough to dig into that too deeply in terms of the themes of this movie, but I feel like the ending, which I won't spoil, but that wall starts to crumble by the end of the movie, which is it hurts. Like the end of this movie really does hurt,
Yeah.
and you feel for her. But for me, the highlight of the whole thing, besides Mikey Madison, who I do think will be nominated for Best Actress because
Absolutely. I'm
she's
fairly
incredible.
certain she's gonna win.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet. But Yura Borisov, who plays a Russian goon named Igor,
Hmm.
is so fucking good in this movie. He just he has one of those faces that you like I would look at him and I'd be like, this guy's even though he looks like a Russian goon, he looks like a guy I want to be a pal with,
Hmm.
you know?
And
Like
he's huge to the end of the movie.
yes, yes. He's basically when the movie takes the right turn it does, he becomes, I would say, the second lead.
Yeah.
But the highlight of the comedy of this movie is there's a scene where they're looking for the husband or the boy with and she's with these goons and the older Armenian Orthodox priest guy is cussing out all these young middle I think there are other Armenian guys or Middle Eastern guys and he's like, all you do is you are on TikTok, you are on Instagram, you swipe, you don't work hard. I had job when I was 16. And I just could not stop laughing because he's like crashing out that he's gonna get killed by these Russian oligarchs whose kid he's lost. And he's losing it at the youth
Yeah.
using TikTok.
Which is, I mean, that is how I talk. So
Yeah.
I did appreciate it. Ultimately, I think for me, the theme of this movie is how much it sucks when you're someone who's been guarded and kept your wall up and you let it down and you're hurt.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
when you try to put the wall back up and it's never the same, which is something that
No.
I can personally relate to. And I think it is something that is a theme that's not explored too much in movies. Um,
No.
I will say I do not like this movie as much as I like Conclave or something, for example. It's in my top 10 favorite movies of the year. But I will gladly say is this is one of the best movies of the year.
It's this movie is kind of it kind of feels like a fever dream.
Yes.
You don't like it's a euphoric experience because
What
you're experiencing the full range of emotions.
what I am curious to see is will this movie be as good the second, third, and fourth time I've watched it?
Yeah,
That's
that's
what I'm curious about. I don't
okay.
know if maybe the shock factor is one of the reasons it's so good. Maybe I'm fully wrong here. I don't know. That's the nice thing about
I think the dialogue is so good that it'll be strong.
yeah.
Um, I also think I'm just reading a little bit here. Greta Gerwig was the president of Cannes this
Mhm.
year, and she said, quote, Anora was something we collectively felt we were transported by.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
and I would agree with that.
that's somebody who's been one of the most successful filmmakers of the last 10 years or so.
Yeah,
And
and then she wrote the Rachel Ziegler Snow White movie.
yep,
Yeah,
didn't need to go there. But yeah, I think Sean Baker is definitely one of the exciting directors to keep an eye on.
yeah.
It's-
Red Rocket was huge in 2022. The Florida Project, I
you
think this
really enjoy that one, right?
yes, I think the Florida Project is ultimately better. And I think maybe that's because its themes are so prevalent to me in my personal life, feeling like you're looking at Walt Disney World and you're 1 mile away from it, but you will never have that life of like being able to afford to go there. Your mom works there and you'll never get to go there. Oh, so I think that's some really prevalent stuff. And I also just love Willem Dafoe. My score for Anora is a 10 out of 10. I evaluate things on a basis of what they are. I can't say I've seen many Russian sex worker dramedies, so I don't know what I'm comparing this to, but this felt very Cassavetes. This felt like a woman under the influence from 1974. Not to sound
Yeah.
like everyone in the Criterion Closet, but that is what it felt like. I'm very excited to hear a friend of the show, Will. He is just one of the most intelligent people I've ever met and one of the most thoughtfully and well spoken individuals you'll ever meet. And he's a very astute critic.
He's been putting in the work on his letterbox reviews. I've been very impressed with his
Yeah,
attention to detail.
I I would say genuinely, and not just because I'm his friend, or I'd say we're acquaintances. I don't know if he would call me his friend, but I would say Will is someone who I think would be an astounding film critic. His mind, I am jealous of, and I'm very curious to hear what he thinks. And maybe we'll have to have him come on for some sort of Academy Awards episode, maybe a top 10 movies of the year episode, so that if you put a film like I don't know, if you're like Civil War, and he also likes it. You guys can just attack me, and we'll have to unpack all of that. But in terms of favorite movies of the year, I would say Anora is probably 10 for me.
yeah, I have it at number two right
Is that
now.
best or favorite? Just out of curiosity.
A best.
Okay.
That's my list. It slotted into number two, and it's the third 5-star movie of the year for me.
Yeah.
So I
The other
that's
two being Dune Part 2 and
Furiosa.
yes, Furiosa. Okay. We'll talk
Uh,
now. Let's talk about Saturday Night was my favorite movie of the year for about 2 weeks, and it has been dethroned by Conclave.
yep.
I'm willing to admit Conclave is like not the best movie of the year. There's a couple things that I
No,
wish were
no.
changed.
I think you and I probably feel the exact same way. This is a this is a movie that is absolutely um sorry, my computer's dinging.
Oh, good.
Uh it's absolutely carried by its what am I trying to say? By its cast. It takes it takes an interesting plot for sure. Like I'll give them credit. The plot is interesting, but not as deep as you would think it would be, and it elevates it to such an incredible level with these actors who are all just fucking incredible. I mean, Ray
Mhm.
Fiennes,
He's winning the Oscar. It's happening.
yeah,
This is very
and
fine. It's his year.
and like I totally get why this would be your favorite movie of the year. For me, I think what moved me so much with this movie was it's we've talked about this before, face movies where it's like attention to detail on the characters.
Mhm.
There's shots of this in this movie where it's just like cardinals sitting around smoking heaters before they go select the Pope. That's incredible. Just like it doesn't make sense, but it's so fucking cool. And then you got, you know, these tight shots of faces. Like Ray Fiennes is just this character in constant crisis throughout this,
Mhm.
whether it's crisis of faith or literally a crisis that he's trying to navigate the Catholic Church through. And I mean, he was casted perfectly because he's just like it's Ray fucking Fiennes. You
Yeah,
know what
and
you're
he doesn't have to do a weird accent. That's like one of the
no,
nicest
no,
things.
no. This movie avoided um anybody having to do weird accents, which
Yeah,
was
they're like, John Lithgow is Canadian, and I was like, oh, thank God. I thought he was going to go, I am a me. It's a John Lithgow. Give me some
that
ravioli,
worked
and I
out
was like,
well. Um, I thought Lithgow was great. I thought he was the weakest, which is not, I mean, saying he's the weakest is like saying uh that's like saying that I don't know. Uh Clay Thompson was the weakest out of the trio of Kevin Durant, Steph Curry,
look,
and
John Lithgow in this movie is supposed to be Donald Trump. He is a
kind of, yeah.
conservative Catholic who's like he's got some stuff going on.
Yeah.
Basic plot summary: the Pope is dead. It is a heart attack, and the Ray Fiennes character. There are four cardinals that he has to choose. Okay, who is going to be the next pope? And you've got the Stanley Tucci character, who's the super liberal. You've got a progressive. You've got a conservative, and then you have like the traditionalist essentially. And Ray Fiennes is like, okay, well, I don't want to be pope. But then he starts doing some things. He's like doing opposition research. He's making like campaign speeches. And then people are like, wait a second. The guy who's supposed to decide who gets to be the new pope, he wants to be pope. So you get all that intrigue. And then you get twists and turns. You
I
start finding
do
things out about people.
I do, yes, you do. And I do think that the I think that the whole Ray Fiennes, like I truly do think at the end of the movie he never wanted to really be the Pope.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just it's really an interesting like that's what I meant to that's what I meant by character in crisis. Like just he doesn't he's so conflicted in his brain and he acts that way so fucking well. And he's just surrounded by these other characters who the just the like the snipes of looks from across the room that Edward Berger gets with his camera are so fucking good.
Yeah.
Um, it's just yeah. I mean
It's a
this
movie of intrigue. Can I say
it's
my con for this movie?
it's a visual feast.
It is. This movie should not be PG. That's the biggest
Oh
issue with
no,
this movie.
I wish it was not PG.
That's the biggest thing. There's a moment where you get the murder. There's a this is a spoiler now. There's a suicide bombing. 52
Yeah.
people die. The movie has virtually no impact because they can't show you anything more than essentially a destroyed building. And it is the Vatican being bombed. If the Vatican was bombed, Tucker, help me put this for people who aren't religious. What is the comparison to that? If Big Ben was attacked,
The
if
White House
sure, sure,
yeah, for Americans it would be the White House or the Capitol building.
and
Like a symbol of the most powerful symbol of the what represents America if that were just attacked out of the blue.
yeah,
So
um,
I don't know if that's the White House for you. I don't know if it's the Capitol building. I don't know if it's, you know, the Golden Gate Bridge for some people. Like
whatever it may be, and that is why I give Conclave a 9 out of 10. It just misses a little impact. As you know, there's some discussions of people, some of the Cardinals maybe being sexually imprior, and some of those moments where whether maybe we could have gotten a flashback or even just some more graphic dialogue to sell what they did being wrong. I think
you
ultimately it
wanted
just
your
missed a little bit.
spotlight. You wanted your Mitchell Garabedian moment
I
from the man.
absolutely I do because Tucker, it's time to announce Conclave the musical coming in 2051. Right now we're working on never mind, I'm not gonna say.
Lawrence, you want to be the Pope? Don't lie.
We're working on our big song, I am as God made me, which is that's a callback to the end of the movie. You guys have to see what that means. Tucker, what was your Conclave score?
I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well, 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. For me, I would say my con was similar to yours. I felt like it could have packed just a little bit more of a punch, although I think the ending made up for a lot of that. Just because it takes an enormous swing with the
Yeah,
end, and I don't want to spoil it because that would ruin the movie. But yeah, I would say that's my main con. Um, I yeah, I that's honestly you kind of read my mind with it, and I think this was a really fucking good movie. Like
it is.
and Edward Berger's visual style after watching All Quiet on the Western Front and then this he is a director that is a Tucker Sennett director just in terms of I eat what he puts on camera up. Like
Yeah.
it's just so it's everything is so perfectly placed and intentional
Mhm.
with his filmmaking, which I there's a lot of directors that are like that, but for some reason he tickles my brain the right way. And this movie really worked for me. I hope
Absolutely.
my guess is we're not going to get our Tooch Oscar from this, although he was great. But this is not the Toochsker, sadly. But I do think Ray Fiennes will make a strong push for Best Actor, and I could honestly see the guy who plays Cardinal Benitez, who's kind of an unknown Hispanic actor, making a push
Well,
for
Stanley
Best.
Tucci right now has 11-1 odds, putting him in the five.
Okay.
Above him, Kieran Culkin. He's got nine. Uh, he's got 9-2 odds. Clarence Macklin 5-1. Guy Pearce 5-1. Denzel 13-2. So Tucci 11-1.
Another movie, and Will pointed this out really well in his review on Letterboxd, but another movie that you would not expect to have much of a sense of humor that does really make light of this whole because it like if you're not religious, which you know I'm not I wasn't raised super religious, but my family is religious, and I'm not like an atheist by any
Yeah.
means, but um I think like the whole it I think I find it to be beautiful. But if you are an atheist or you know you're not a Catholic, it's kind of a whole silly process as an outsider, and just like the the commitment to the fine details, which is one of the things that made me like I couldn't take my eyes off of this movie. But I can see how from the other viewpoint, it's like, what? They go through
Yeah.
all this effort to
Stabbing ballots, putting the right color of smoke, and you're just like,
yeah.
what the fuck does this mean?
No,
Absolutely.
it's crazy. And like if you have OCD, you're gonna love this movie because
Hmm.
it's like they check every fucking box when there's a election happening, when there's a conclave.
Yeah.
It's just like oh for the OCD crowd, which I wouldn't say I'm part of the OCD crowd, but I definitely, you know, I enjoy it's kind of an ASMR movie. Like
Yeah. I would agree with that.
they pick up every little sound that you would want to hear, even them flicking on the light switches in the suites of the castle where they stay. Like, oh, I'm telling you, Edward Berger just tickles my brain.
Yeah.
It made
Edward
me
Berger's.
seeing this movie in theaters made me really upset that I never got to see All Quiet on the Western Front in a theater.
Yeah.
That really upset me, and I'm so glad that this movie didn't go straight to streaming.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a new Edward Berger movie coming out next year with Colin Farrell and Tilda Swinton. So, The Ballad of a
Hell,
Small Player, where a
hell yeah.
gambler and con artist flee Britain for Macau. Yeah, that's a Tucker movie right there.
That's Tucker.
Gamblers, con artists,
Edward
Macau.
Edward Berger's he's going into the Guy Ritchie category of Tucker Senate directors.
Hey, everyone needs their guy.
Yeah.
Tucker, I will say the last little thing I give credit to about this movie is the cinematography by Stefan Fontaine and the music by Vocal Burper.
The score rips.
Both of them.
Rips.
I was just like, holy shit. Both of
Yeah.
them just incredible. So I just want to give them credit to that.
No, no,
Um,
the score rips for sure. And it's very, very timely.
yeah, I would agree.
Would you say?
Yes, I absolutely would. Well, Tucker, pleasure talking Clenham, Vonclave, we live in Anora, question mark?
Yeah,
Whatever we're gonna call it.
out there.
Whatever it may be. Pleasure talking with you. Do you have a streaming recommendation for the audience tonight?
Okay, I just finished season 2, but if you haven't watched The Old Man yet, oh my God. I it's so good. It's so
It is.
fucking
It's absolutely incredible. I'm going to give two. One of them is a rent recommendation. Please, for the love of God, rent Transformers 1. It is the
okay.
very best ever piece of Transformers media. It is incredibly well animated. The voice
Better
acting is
than
fantastic.
better than The Last Night.
Yes, it's all better. It's even better than
How
Rise of the
many
Beast, Tucker.
how many aspect ratio changes are there in
None. That's the best part. None. Unlike the last, I don't even know how that happened at the last night. That's like one of the biggest mysteries ever. How did that get missed in the edit? I don't know.
So there was a trend on Twitter where somebody complained, or basically somebody complained with the Norman Rockwell meme, the painting, and said, I don't like aspect ratio changes in movies. And
Wes Anderson has killed himself upon seeing that.
yes, and then it turned into a trend where everybody was posting like, well, it worked here.
Yeah,
And
in Catching Fire, I will say, in Catching
Catching
Fire, the second
Fire,
Hunger Games,
that one's great.
it's
To me,
widescreen as she's going up an elevator, and then
yeah.
it slowly becomes full screen when you're in the arena. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I will say the best one far and away is Tom in Fallout
Yeah.
when he's running to the helicopter, and it just slowly gets a little
Hmm.
bit wider, and you're like, yeah, we're about
Yeah.
to do this. Where he's gonna climb up.
And my mom didn't breathe the entire time. She
No,
just was locked in.
as
So I'm gonna say
as she shouldn't.
so I'm gonna say Transformers 1, and Tucker doesn't want my mom to be breathing, which we'll talk about off mic.
No,
Um,
no, just for that scene. I mean,
no, if you want to kill my mom, like
nobody that enjoys cinema can breathe in that scene.
okay. Well, Transformers 1 I think is just a masterpiece, and it's just so good. My recommendation for streaming, Tucker, tonight I am going to show my 13-year-old brother Pulp Fiction. It is time.
Oh,
He's ready. He's ready for it. It's
really?
time.
Okay.
And so my recommendation
I
is,
didn't watch that one until I was like 16.
yeah, and you know what? You turned out too well. I gotta make him like me. He must be
Fair enough.
molded into the iron fist of Gabriel. As my Milwaukee Bucks are losing to the Chicago Bulls and my Predators are losing to the Chicago Blackhawks, which
It's
is
early
just
now.
it's a double bad day for me if they don't turn it around.
Not early. It's pretty late.
It's not going to happen.
I'm sorry.
Um, no, hey, don't worry about it. But anyways, audience. Thank you so much for listening. Tucker, thanks for potting with me. Audience, please make sure you check us out on YouTube at Serious Cinema for Unserious Men Podcast, Instagram at Scum Podcast Official, and Letterboxd at Scum Pod. You can follow me on Letterboxd at capital GJBRADHAM02 and Tucker on Letterboxd at TSEN61. And thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next time on another episode of Serious Cinema for Unserious Men.